Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today, as always, we have 4 brand new decks for you today. In addition to those 4 decks, we're also going to be looking over the Marvel Snap developer roadmap. We're literally going to open up that article and talk about that at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned if that's something you're interested in. And the second deck, the deck we're going to talk about, is top 3 ranked, and it's the, I think, wildest, craziest deck we've ever featured on this channel. It is a strange deck. But it is also new card release day. That's right, it's Scorn Day. Scorn will be the new card coming out today. It's a 1/2 that when you discard it, gives +2 power to a card in play, returns with +2 power on it, returns to your hand with +2 power on it, which means that we have to build a discard deck for this. We're going to start with Gerber's Might of the Meek. Gerber is a top 100 discard player. He plays almost exclusively discard at the top levels of the game. Whether it's meta or not, he's probably the best discard player in all of Marvel Snap, and this is the build he's starting with. This is the build he's playing now anyway, but Scorn will very likely replace Helicarrier in this list. Is it going to be better than Helicarrier? Well, Gerber is a little bit skeptical, so I'm not sure how good Scorn is going to be. But we're going to try it in this shell, and then tomorrow we will have a more mid-rangey Scorn shell, just to see how this card works, how things come together in order to figure things out. But where we're going to start is the pure all-in discard. Let's see if this has enough stats to really make the card Scorn worth it. Also, if you're interested in more details from Scorn and more Scorn decks, Sunday's video was a full Scorn review. That's also going to review the Spotlight cards for this week, which are Sebastian Shaw and Jean Grey. All right, so Gerber, again, is the discard king. You need 2 high series cards for this deck. You need Proxima and MODOK. If you have Proxima and MODOK, you can do without anything else. Scorn can be Helicarrier, and Corvus and Meek can be Lady Sif and Gambit. And that's fundamentally how you play this deck without the extra high series cards. This is a very simple one to play and pilot, although there is some more nuance to the locations and placement, and when you choose to discard than it seems like. The real trick to discard, to getting good at discard, is to realize that you're often going to leave extra energy on the table and sort of become comfortable with that fact. All right, so turn 1, you want Meek. Turn 2, you want Morb or Collector. If you have the things that are going to grow Collector, you want to make sure you get Collector out early, because Morbius will still take advantage of things later as an ongoing while Collector has to be on the board. But if you're only going to get to play one of the two, it's almost always Morbius. You can also drop Colleen if you already have Swarm or Scorn in hand, but you're only going to drop Colleen for Scorn if you have a card on board on turn 1, which is usually Meek, although there is some possibility and there are some situations where Blade could be on the board if you had exactly Proxima Midnight, exactly Apocalypse, or exactly Swarm already on the right side of your hand. Turn 3, you would like to play one of your 2 drops because your 2 drops are priorities, or you can Corvus. And just very quickly, a Corvus hand is one that either you already have extra stuff, but you will happily Corvus away anything but Morbius, Dracula, and MODOK. If you don't have those 3 cards in hand, feel free to Corvus away. Turn 4, you'd like Dracula. If not, you're fine with a 2/2. A Morbius and Colleen is a very good play at this point. A Morbius and Meek is totally fine. Sometimes it's like Morbius, Meek, and Blade. You get the idea. You can combine cards, but you'd like to Dracula. Turn 5, you'd like to drop MODOK if humanly possible, especially if in hand you have Scorn and Apocalypse. So I'm going to talk a bit about that, but we're going to look at the deck first. So what discard used to do when America Chavez was a 6/9 that you could only draw on the last turn was it would play MODOK on turn 5, and then it would always draw America Chavez a 6/9 on turn 6, right? Apocalypse at that point could either be played for whatever 16, 20 power, or it could be discarded one more time to by Dracula to be a +4. At that point, you could always play America Chavez. What happened when they got rid of America Chavez is if you MODOK'd on turn 5, you're at the mercy of the hand gods for what you drew on turn 6, right? Like, you wouldn't be guaranteed to draw a decent sized card on turn 6. You could draw a Blade, and then all you have to play is either that Apocalypse or that Blade, which really weaken the deck. Scorn sort of takes care of that. Scorn with 2 discards is fundamentally a 1/9. So you can play that at the end of the game with whatever you draw on turn 6. There's literally nothing but Apocalypse that you could draw on turn 6 that you couldn't. You can also still drop that Apocalypse should you be so inclined, although at that point you're risking that extra card with Scorn. Cool. So that is fundamentally how you do this and what you're looking at for this list. But if you discard that scorn at the end, you're going to get an extra +4, which means with a Modoc, for example, that is 2 discards for it. That is a 1/9. Same thing as American Chavez. That's fundamentally what scoring is really doing for this list. However, Modoc on turn 6 is still totally fine. You can play Dracula and a 1, or if your hand is sort of junk, you can do like a Corvus and a Blade, something like that. Turn 6 is generally Apocalypse or a big scorn with another card, ideally Dracula. Um, or you can do Modoc plus a 1 or Modoc plus a 2. You can do Modoc plus Morbius. If you played Corvus, that would give you 7 energy on the last turn of the game. And always keep swarms in mind as you're deciding what to do. You would really like to be able to get those swarms down to 0 so they're not stuck in your hand at the end of the game for Dracula, because being able to play 6 extra power with the stuff is often there's some winning and losing with these lists. That's the basic turn by turn here. We're going to talk about the thumbnail deck right after this, the current number 3, but one last look at this really cool discard deck. If you want to play classic discard, if you think that this is a deck that could be meta, Scorn is going to be the card for you. But I honestly think, and I hope I'm wrong, but I honestly think that this is going to be the only real deck for Scorn. So unless this ends up being meta, I'm not sold on this card. Hey, if you're willing to hit that sub button, it would mean the absolute world to us. We are trying to hit 15,000 subs by the end of the year. We are about 700 away, which is completely freaking wild. So if you would help, it would mean the world to us in terms of getting us to our goals. And in return, we will give you at least 7 videos a week. We've been doing 8 videos almost every week, 8 full-length videos. That's not even counting all the shorts we release. So if you're interested in this, please do check it out. I do not think you will regret it. We have more decks, more news coverage, more everything in Marvel Snap than literally anyone else. If you want the best decks the fastest, the most consistently, then this is absolutely going to be the channel for you. If you're willing to hit that like and leave a comment, it helps us with the YouTube algorithm a lot, showing us to more people and thus getting us more views. In addition, as an encouragement to like and comment, as long as you're subbed, we give away a season pass card a week. We're giving away an Agent Venom every single week. So all you have to do is comment later on this video. There's going to be a question. You answer that question in this video, and as soon as you answer that question, you are entered to win a season pass. One video this week's comments will have a Agent Venom. In addition, the last week of the season and then the first week of the new season are going to come with 5 season passes, a season pass in every weekday video. So if you're interested in that, please make sure you're subbed, make sure you're liked, make sure you're commenting. Cool. We also have a Pokemon channel. If you're interested in checking out the Pocket Meta, it's in the description to the video. Please check that out. All right. Jet, I decided to rename this list What the Peef. Jet calls all his Phoenix Force decks Peef. Jet is the most accomplished Phoenix Force player in the world. He has been number 2 on the Infinite leaderboard with Phoenix Force 2 separate times, which is wild when you consider how inconsistent this deck is considered to be. He's been top 10 several more times. He is currently ranked 3 and has been floating between 2 and 3, battling with Derek for that second spot behind Sizer. Although, who knows if Sizer is going to maintain number 1 or if Derek and Jet will catch him. Either way, this list has been absolutely dominant. It's been competing at a crazy high level, and it is one that I cannot urge you enough to give a freaking try to. This is such a mean deck. It puts up so much more power than it seems. It really frustrates opponents, makes their so much less effective through either using usually Cassandra Nova or Black Widow, but sometimes Korg and ridiculous Darkhawks. Super cool list. I did not think of Misery this way, and yes, we have some news about that new card Misery we're going to talk about after this, but this is a very, very strong list. All right, you can find Jet streaming all of a sudden at twitch.tv/Jet13. There are 5 E's in that name, just so you know. Please go check out our friend Jet. He's an unfreaking believable player. Watch him and listen to him talk and explain moves. You will get better at Marvel Snap. This deck needs Agony, Phoenix Force, Nico, and Darkhawk. Those 4 are must-haves, although luckily 2 of them are Series 4 cards, and one of them is in Spotlights if you're watching this early in the morning. If you're not watching this early in the morning, you're going to miss out. Always try and catch this as soon as possible. All right, Cassandra Nova for this list can be Sage. I think Cassandra is better by a lot, but Sage is a fine replacement. I know that's a Series 5 for a Series 5, but hopefully you got Cassandra Nova for free when she was in Deadpool's Diner. Next up, we have Echo, who can be Iceman or Spider-Ham, and Jet says Iceman Spider-Ham ended up over Shadow King in this list as well. I think Echo is going to be really important right now because I don't know how much you've been playing right now, but Iron Man is one of the most played cards in the game, and the tech card of choice for a lot of those Iron Man decks is what you call is Cosmo, and having an answer to that so that you can still play around reveal so you can do all your stuff safely is hugely important. All right, so again, this completely ridiculous list is rank 3. So turn 1, you want Nico if destroy or double power. If not, you're going to Korg or Hood. You can Korg or Hood into Grandmaster just fine. If not, you're fine doing the Nico or Korg or the other 1 drops. Like, you're perfectly fine sort of getting out whatever ones you want early. The Nico Destroy is often a snap condition here. It gives you something pretty clear to Phoenix Force. You'd really like that to be Cassandra Nova, but like you're not devastated if it's Korg or Hood or whatever else. It could also just be Black Widow. So turn 3, you would really love to get Black Widow or Cassandra out. You're going to have to decide based on, obviously, hand size, location, whether you want to Darkhawk with which of the two. But you can Black Widow 3 turns in a row relatively easily, which is completely freaking wild, and I generally prefer those to Rock Slide. Turn 4, you really want Misery on that Black Widow or Cassandra Nova. If you have Phoenix Force in hand on Cassandra Nova, not, you really want to make sure it's on Black Widow. If you had the Nico Destroy earlier, you could just get that Phoenix Force out now. So turn 5 is Phoenix Force on Nico Double Korg to create an extra demon if you played another demon earlier to get out a huge Cassandra. Once you have that ridiculous Cassandra, you're really going to town. Or if you don't have that Phoenix Force, if you don't have any of your combos, now you're perfectly fine dropping Darkhawk. So turn 6, if you played Darkhawk, you're playing several demons at this point with Echo or Shadow King and Phoenix Force when they're big. Ideally, you are moving a Phoenix Force further, right? So if you went Black Widow, right, into Misery, now they haven't drawn on turn 4, now they haven't drawn on turn 5, and then you Phoenix Force, now they haven't drawn on turn 6, you've hopefully snapped it because they just didn't draw for 3 straight turns, and you should be able to overpower them without needing an absolute ton. So that 9 power Phoenix Force with a Darkhawk that's now huge should be able to win the game as you outsize them fairly easily. You also obviously have multiple demons to play along the way, or Shadow King in order to take care of anything they did manage to grow. This list is insanely strong. It's insanely fun. Don't be afraid, by the way, to on turn 5, if you can't Phoenix Force, end up playing that Grandmaster for that extra card that you want. Remember, Phoenix Force moves, so you can Phoenix Force in the middle, move it right, Grandmaster it, right, and then play other cards that would still leave you 3 energy for a Black Widow, for another Cassandra, etc., etc. These cards are all really big because you're not letting your opponent draw, or you're playing a Rock Slide to really muck your opponent up. Tons of power, tons of frustration. This list is awesome. I cannot believe how original and creative and powerful this list is, and I cannot urge you to try it enough. We're going to talk about moves evolution after a quick break between decks, but once again, this deck is wild, and it's about to get better when the patch drops. Excuse me, this isn't going to happen until the next OTA, which they say is next week, and next week should be a skip week, but maybe not. We'll find out all together at the same time. But we've got Misery is going to become a 4/8. I did a last chance review of this on Sunday. So it's a 4/8 on reveal. Repeat the on reveal abilities of your other cards here, then destroy them. I said to skip this card unless you needed Namora or War Machine. I think I was wrong. I've changed my mind based on that previous deck and a deck we're going to talk about tomorrow. I now think Misery is a card you are going to want to go out of your way to have. People are coming up with really creative and powerful brews for this card that no other card can really make work. And if no other card can make these decks work, then I think you're going to really want Misery. I think this card is too good to miss right now, especially as a 4/8, which is just top line stats with a top line ability. 4/7 is nice. People act like 1 power is nothing. I heard a creator the other day going, oh, this card just got 1 extra power. How much better can it be? An awful lot. 1 power is a significant boost in win percentage for a lot of Marvel Snap decks, especially for a card like this, which is often taking power off the board. So if you're doing this on a Black Widow, right, and then all of a sudden this is a 4/5 instead of a 4/4 fundamentally, and you recognize, if you've played enough Marvel Snap, that difference between a 4/5 and a 4/4 is huge, especially when you're getting that extra -1 on the opponent's side of the board. So now it's fundamentally a 4/6 instead of 4/5. And again, if you've played enough Snap, you fundamentally recognize how much more powerful each of these things is. Misery is now a must-buy card between the deck we just looked at, which is once again right here, and absolutely incredible. Please do try it. It's not going to be one that you automatically win with. You're going to have to learn it, right? Misery decks are going to be high skill cap decks you have to learn. We've got another incredible one from Teebs tomorrow, and I cannot be more excited to share this with you. Please make sure you get Misery. Also, if you'd like some gameplay from these decks, please do check out the stream team. Today is Tuesday, so the great Prashaun will be doing the Lunchtime Club, where you can check him out streaming these decks today and sort of dominating and playing with them. Gregor2424 should have a YouTube video up relatively soon of yesterday's deck, so again, make sure to check Gregor out. This weekend was the Creator Gauntlet, and our last two decks will be decks that went 5-1 in the Creator Gauntlet. We managed to get every deck that went either undefeated or 5-1 in the Creator Gauntlet, which featured many of the absolute best players in all of Marvel Snap facing off against each other. Any deck that went 5-1 against that field speaks both to the top-notch play of the player and the top-notch power of the deck. We covered all the undefeated decks yesterday, and today we're covering two more of the 5-1 decks. We will work through all of these throughout the week. This deck is Johnson's move. This is based off Sizer's move. Sizer had two cards different. We're going to talk about what the changes were, and then I was able to reach out to Johnson, who told me why he made those changes. You should at least consider these changes. I don't know if you remember who Johnson is, but back when there were a lot of Marvel Snap tournaments, Johnson was one of the most consistent Marvel Snap players. Johnson played a lot when Lambie was the most common top tournament player, and Lambie said Johnson was one of the only players in the world that he actually feared. Johnson is still playing. He's still competing. He'll be in the cut for the finals of the Creator Gauntlet on the Marvel Snap Twitch this weekend. So Johnson's edit of Sizer's deck. Please check out our friend Sizer. Sizer is trying to go full-time and can use the support. He's, arguably the best player in the world. If you want to learn from somebody who's really cool and really chill, go check out Sizer2654 on Twitch. Tell him I sent you and send some love. Very often you'll find me hanging out in that chat. For this deck, you need both Madam Web and Goliath. Cool? Without those two cards, you cannot play it. Aranya or Ghostbiter, you need one, but one can be Iron Fist. Copycat can be Hercules, Doctor Strange, or Iron Fist. And then I asked Johnson about the changes. The changes are, this deck originally ran both Iron Fist and Hercules. Copycat was Hercules, and then Rogue was Iron Fist, and those two were changed. Johnson, when asked about the changes, says Rogue and Copycat are the two key cards to the meta. Rogue is largely here because very consistently in an absolute ton of decks currently, you're going to be seeing Iron Man. And in order to answer Iron Man or answer opposing move cards, particularly answering opposing Madam Web, Rogue gives you a snap condition. And getting those extra cubes from snapping away their best or most powerful play is an excellent way to win games of Marvel Snap, fairly bluntly, right? Like, if you want to win games of Snap, Rogue is absolutely key right now. That she's never been better. Copycat, however, was much more confusing. I totally understood Rogue, so I asked about Copycat. So Copycat has a bunch of key targets in 3 specific builds. The Agent Venom builds that are everywhere, those are the Iron Man builds. Then Copycat is great. It gives you access to a ton of cards that you can beat. If you get a Cassandra Nova that has 5 base power, if you get their Iron Man with 5 base power, etc., that's extremely strong. Hell, if you go Madam Web and get their Mystique, you're able to absolutely dominate that matchup. So Copycat can be the key to that matchup. Copycat can also be the key to the Surfer matchup, where you're looking for cards like Surfer or Brood or Sarah. And if you get any of those, you can absolutely snap, especially if you get Surfer. But hey, having a 15 power Brood in this deck for 3 is insanely strong, especially considering you want priority for Goliath. And then finally, for the move matchup, if you get a Madam Web, right, you're in heaven. But you could also get a Torch that starts as a 5 or a Dagger that starts as a 5. And if you've played again any Snap, you know how strong that is. Or a 3-cost Goliath that you can play in one lane with a Cosmo in the other. There's just a million ways to take advantage of the power of Copycat in the meta. It is a snap condition based on what it pulls and the key to getting larger cube games. What Sizer said, apropos of nothing, as we were talking about decks yesterday, because you should know I've been a big fan of the Storm War Machine version of this list, was it's a 2-cube machine. It doesn't usually steal a ton of cubes at a time, so you have to grind up with it as people end up running a lot as they realize they're screwed. This deck does not have that weakness. It will not win as much overall, but it will get so many more cubes when it does that you should be able to more than make up for it. All right, so I consider this to be one of the 3 best decks in Snap. The other 2 would be the Woody Midrange that we covered yesterday and the Gnome Bounce that we talked about in Friday's video. I again like the Storm version better than this. I value consistency in wins over consistency in cubes, but to each their own. So turn one, the only card you really want to play is Aranya. Turn two, you would love to Madam Web, who is often, not always, depends on what your opponents play, often a snap condition. You can also play Aranya or Torch and Ghost Spider. Cool. So if you had Aranya on one, you can go Torch and Ghost Spider on two while triggering Aranya, and that should end up being enough power to be worth it. Hello Kitty. Turn three, you want Copycat over Cosmo or Vulture. Ideally, if you're playing those cards, you're playing them in Madam Web. Turn four is a 3+1. So if you played Cosmo, you can then move that Cosmo, right? And then Vulture into Ghost Spider to pull that, or Aranya into Vulture to pull that into Madam Web. You can also end up playing like a Madam Web and Dagger on turn four. Turn five, you want to cloak on the right, right? So you're playing things left and center as long as you have cloak, and then you want to cloak on the right, along with a 3-drop in a different spot. At that point, you move whatever you can to cloak, and then you choose between Heimdall and Goliath. The cloak's weakness is that it works for both players, right? However, your ability to move cards like Torch, Dagger, and Vulture makes that winning proposition for you. If your opponent moves into cloak, your power, because you have so many big cards, should be so much greater than theirs that you should be able to win. And if you think that they're going to do anything tricky or clever because they have an Iron Man or whatever, well, you've got Goliath. If they're going to play Mystique and you can tell where, you've got Cosmo. And that's how you win with this list. Cool. Next up, we're actually not going to talk about bounce. Bounce is going to be the. Oh wait, yeah, we're going to talk about bounce. Another deck, a bounce that went 5-1, along with a card that I've literally never seen in a bounce deck. I'm so excited to talk about this list. One last look at this list where Johnson sort of took the classic move list, the now classic move list that was created last month, but has been a meta staple since, and figured out how to adapt it to the current meta and make it beat what is at top right now. Season pass question. So, so tomorrow we're going to do a second video instead of today because I think tomorrow when High Voltage comes out, as soon as it comes out, I basically asked all the top players in Marvel Snap. I found the top players and the top deck builders, the same people I usually ask for the Thursday reviews, although a few extra players, but whatever. And I said, what are you going to play for High Voltage? What do you think is going to work for High Voltage? We're not going to do a turn by turn, but we will do card replacements, and I'm going to do the top 10 day one immediate high voltage decks. Cool. The cat has decided to stand on me, so if you suddenly saw me move, it was Kitty. All right, so our question for the day is, when the patch comes out, and we know that the splits are going to be fixed. If you missed it, there was a lower percentage than there should have been splits for Gold, Ink, and Crackle, and they're fixing it by upping the splits to like 35% of a really great split. That should be in play at the patch tomorrow. What card are you aiming to split and get a really great split for? My answer right now is Sage. I love Sage, and I cannot wait to get an awesome Sage split. All right, Combat Bounce is our final deck of the day, but don't forget, we are still going to talk about the roadmap. So Combat Bounce is, excuse me, let me sit back up since the cat messed me up. Hello. There we go. So Combat Bounce is a semi-bounce list, right? The only bounce card here is Beast. We're not bothering with Falcon. We're not bothering with the Million Ones. This is sort of the old style that our friend .geo was playing, where it runs Gwenpool and Grandmaster in bounce instead of trying to win other ways. US Agent is incredibly pivotal for this type of bounce. It says, I can't bounce to get as big, but I've got other ways to go about it. The key card here, the very surprising card that absolutely rips cubes from opponents, is Negasonic Teenage Warhead. If you can get Negasonic going, this deck sort of goes off. If you can hit the right card, usually around turn 3, turn 4 with Negasonic, you're stealing cubes. You're absolutely wrecking cubes. Sometimes, and a lot of decks are playing cards that make it really obvious. Cards like Angela, cards like Hope Summers, they make it obvious where they're going to play. And if you can like stop that, holy crap. So don't be afraid to, if you know where they're going to Iron Man, or you know they're going to claw at Negasonic with priority on turn 5, because that's the turn they claim prio, and snap and just win. So you can find Combat playing this exact deck at youtube.com/@combatsnap. This is another 5-in-1 deck. Combat is a phenomenal player and a friend of the show. He stayed up all night once to be on our podcast, which always warms my heart. You need 2 cards. Hopefully you buy the Season Pass because they are Agent Venom and Gwenpool, 2 recent Season Pass cards. Gwenpool is all over the meta right now, and Agent Venom is one of the best Season Pass cards ever, as our friend in Terrabank has insisted on telling me. He shot me a message, like, told you Agent Venom would be broken. You're right, Intero. Plenty of people were. I thought this card would be good, not incredible. I was wrong. This card is absolutely incredible. Please buy Agent Venom. All right, US Agent for this list can be Shadow King. It's significantly worse, but it's possible. Hitmonkey can only be replaced by 1 card, and I hate replacing a Series 4 card with a Series 5 card, but it's Sage. Silver Sable and Nico are both great here, but they can be Hawkeye and Iceman just fine. And Grandmaster can be Hood. Now, if you are adding Hood to the list, right? Grandmaster can be Falcon. I don't know why I wrote Hood. If you're adding Falcon to the list, I would also find space for Hood, is what I was intending to say when we got to this point. All good? Turn by turn, and Combat rocked the Europe bracket, losing only to the undefeated Den, who finished in first place. So turn 1, you want Sable, unless Nico has a great target. If Nico is draw 2, for example, you'll play Nico. If Nico is turned into Demon, you'll often play Nico. Outside of that, you're probably Sabling. Turn 2, you want Agent Venom over US Agent. Agent Venom is often a snap condition, but not always. Turn 3, Bishop is your goal, and that's better than Negasonic. Turn 4, you want Gwenpool, basically always if you have Gwenpool, and that's better than playing a bunch of 1s for Beast. Turn 5, you would like Grandmaster, US Agent, and Beast. If you're not beasting, you would like Grandmaster, US Agent with that Negasonic. And then you end the game with Mysterio, Monkey, and the 1s that, if possible. Sometimes you can only play one drop, but if you can play more than 1, you should do so. Depends on if you beasted them or not, right? And that's how you win. It's really simple. This is about as straightforward as a move deck gets. Get some early tempo, Agent Venom, then Gwenpool, and freaking Grandmaster that Gwenpool, bounce back whatever 1s you can, play all the 1s, and play Hitmonkey and Mysterio. Win, profit, enjoy. The most important bounce card at the end of the game is Rocket, where a 1/9 is absolutely silly. I've been just having crazy success with Rocket. Don't be afraid to copy a Rocket if you're sure you can hit with it. And Silver Sable is a card you would like to replay before turn 6, because that makes it a potential 1/9 as well. It would be 1/5, right? But -2 on 2 different cards is a 1/9. And that's how you play this list. It's great. Please check it out. We're going to do questions of the day, and then we're going to move over to the to the roadmap. So our first question is, MTL suggests that if I share so many 60+% win rate high infinite decks, there must be a bunch of 40% win rate high infinite decks. So what most people end up doing, top infinite players tend to live around 57%. They're always trying to innovate. They are always iterating. And there's a lot of 01, 03 decks. I've got numerous top players on tap profiles, and there's just all these decks that just lose a small amount of games. But what's more than that, if you've ever been on a top player stream, and I spend a lot of time on top player streams, is they don't just play other top players. Top players often play people that are ranked like 3,000, people that are ranked like 6,000, 7,000, right? Although you can't see the 6, 7,000, I know the names and I'm able to talk to people and figure it out. Top ranked players tend to feast on those players. They're able to snap more aggressively. They're able to get more cubes. So a lot of that high win rate is feeding on less top percent players. And a lot of what I'm doing on the channel and showing you 60, 70% win rate decks is I'm showing them to you early so that you can take advantage of them while they're still unknown, so that you can get extra cubes and wins with them before people are aware of what they're playing. Because the best way to get extra cubes is to be playing something that an opponent isn't sure they can beat. The best way to lose cubes is to play a totally known deck, and then if your opponent is countering that and you don't realize that, you lose more cubes, right? So if you can get to these decks early, you get extra cubes from them. And if you can't get to these decks early, at least showing these videos lets you know so that you can feast on them for extra cubes. All of that is to say, the longer a deck exists, the more its win rate and stats tend to normalize out because of all of that. Kertix Lee asks what's better, the bonus gold that goes by Wednesday or the gold pass? So you get more than the gold pass than the upgrade from any of the bonus gold. However, because you can always buy the gold pass and the bonus gold is going away, I would urge you to buy as much of the bonus gold by Wednesday as possible. The best deal in the game is the season pass. After that, it is the gold pass. After that, it is the double gold as far as ever. Although the anniversary bundles compete with that, they come out once or twice a year. Whereas the double gold will be forever. So if you're going to spend on the game, that's how you should do so. All right, with that, we're going to look at the roadmap, and then we're going to come back over here for Patreon. So this is the roadmap. What's coming soon, and they've only got coming soon in development here, is High Voltage, the Collector's Vault, the second anniversary collection, and Deadpool's Diner 2.0. In development are Character Mastery, the Super Premium Season Pass, album preview and wishlist, and new limited time mode. So let's talk about High Voltage. We're going to do a full High Voltage guide again in our second video tomorrow, so don't feel like you have to be super crazy obsessed with this High Voltage talk now. We're going to, again, give you much more of this tomorrow. So this is a mode that starts on October 16th. That's this Wednesday, at least in North America, is this Wednesday. And it's going to look like this, which you can fundamentally see. You'll have specific missions that are going to have their own, basically, track. Winning games in high voltage modes gets you basically 20 volts. You gather as many volts as you can in order to get a bunch of stuff. The notable thing you can get from these volts is the new card Agony, which is a 1/2 that merges with the next card you play at that location, which is obviously a great card for things like Deadpool or Human Torch or whatever else. Notably, high voltage, you start with 2 cards and you draw two more each round, which means on round 1 you're going to see 4, right? On round, which is the same as you would before, but round 2 you're going to see 6, round 3 you're going to see 8, which is about the same as a normal game, except you're doing it in 3 turns, and you are getting a random amount of energy between 2 and 5 each round, and it still goes up. So you can get 2 and then 2 again, which is going to be 4, and then 2 again, which is 6. You can go from 6 energy to like 16 energy in this game mode. Again, this is going to make it really complicated. This is going to last until, I believe, October 30th, and October 31st, it'll be in the token shop as a Series 4. But we have some really, really great decks for you. There's a few characters and a crap ton of locations that just will not exist here. So we'll talk, again, more about that later on. We're going to give you the full breakdown for this tomorrow, but I'm really excited for High Voltage. I think it's going to be really fun. A Marvel Snap game with no snaps that's crazy fast and crazy high variant seems like a blast. Hopefully, it really is, because it seems just super, super fun. The Collector's Vault is also coming next week, October 24th to 29th, which is, I believe, about 7 days away from me recording this, about 6 days away. So basically, this is a way to spend extra gold in order to buy variants. It's coming apparently once a season at variable times, where you can buy variants that are older than a year old for varying amounts of gold. I am all freaking about this. Fundamentally, for one simple reason. I missed 3 Dan hips that they sold in bundles. I'm probably not going to get all 3 immediately, but with enough time, hopefully I can get the 3 Dan hips. Those being Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, and Rocket Raccoon. If I can get those 3 Dan hips, I will be absolutely thrilled, and I'm really, really hoping that Collector's Vault comes up enough that I can actually get the cards I want. Usually, if I want the variant, I just buy the damn variant, but this would be a case where I'm really excited to potentially get the cards I missed. So if you're missing like the Jacinto Apocalypse is a really, really cool variant. If you're missing that, for example, or I guess it's not been a year yet, but relatively soon, the Zombie Squirrel Girl. This is your chance to go back and get them. And they're going to charge us a premium for it, which is fine because they used to charge cash for them, right? So like I think this is going to be very cool. Second anniversary celebration. We're going to start October 18th with login rewards, community vote variant, and Twitch drops, along with the special bundle. Plus, you're going to be able to play High Voltage. So our Twitch drops this time are some random boosters, whatever. They always give us random boosters. 250 credits, not bad. A Live Love Snap. I don't really care. 2 borders, I don't really care. Our premium mystery variant always makes me happy. Yet more boosters, which is terrible for day 6, but whatever. And then day 7, we've got yet another set of borders. So this one only has 2 things that I personally care about, but I know a lot of people really like borders. That's why they keep selling them to us and giving them to us and pushing them on us, because people are buying them and going for them. So there. We also know that next month we have the return of Deadpool's Diner, a Thanksgiving-themed Deadpool's Diner. My thought with Deadpool's Diner 2.0 is very simple. They don't say this, but they're giving us a free card, Agony, this month. Last time they did Deadpool's Diner, they gave us Cassandra Nova. I think they're going to give us a free card every month with a limited time mode, and I could not possibly be more excited for that. Let's frickin' go. I cannot wait to see what free card they give us. In fact, we'll probably be able to speculate and figure it out once we go. in development are important things. First and foremost is character mastery, which I think is really important. Character mastery is basically a what do we call it? A progression for each character, where the more you split a character, the more variants you have for a character, um, the more progress you'll get, and you'll be able to unlock unique splits, unique emotes and stuff for that character. That's super cool. They thought they could make it, they broke it and took it off the roadmap, and people were really upset. And people were so upset and wanted character mastery so much that they figured it out, and they're going to have special stuff for that character. Super cool. Again, cannot freaking be more excited for character mastery. It's not a mode for me, right? But I know so many people are so happy about this that that kind of joy in the game can only be a positive for everyone. Also, I'm curious to see what the hell my character mastery thing is. I bet you it's just America Chavez, though. All right, so Super Premium Season Pass. So they are reimagining the Season Pass Premium, and they're going to replace it. They're going to have an all new Super Premium Season Pass. It's going to have more variants, more rewards, and then a few surprises that are going to make deck builders smile. I think I know what this is. It's going to give us extra deck slots. I'm pretty sure the Super Premium Season Pass is going to come with extra deck slots. I would bet almost anything that that is exactly what they're talking about. So people that were like, they better not charge us for more deck slots. I think they're going to, but they're also going to give us extra variants and a whole bunch of extra stuff. The Premium Pass is such good value that adding more seems absurd to me. But hell, if they want to give me more value for it already is the best value, I am all about it. Poor Lauren, though, is going to have to do math so I can explain to you how much more value this is. Sorry, Lauren. All right, we've got an album preview, and then we can do album wish list. So you can put a wish list for cards that you really are still looking for albums that are going to like make them come up. And it's also going to give you an album preview. So like, hey, this card that's coming up will be in an album, which also seems really cool. They're showing us the picture of what that looks like. You can seemingly buy cards specifically from the album preview thing, which is super cool. I love this. It's awesome. They're doing this. This is a thing that will make their marketing based on FOMO less effective. So thus, and it doesn't look like it's costing extra, right? It's still 700 gold, which likely means that this is something that really does benefit the community more than it benefits their bottom line. And they never do that. So that's awesome. Finally, we've got one more new limited mode coming out early next year. I'm assuming January or February is what they mean. And hopefully that comes with another free card. That will not be draft, though. Draft is still in development, which is all I want to hear. Draft is the thing I want most of everything in this game, everything they're talking about. They're trying to figure out how to make it fun and feel unique without breaking it. So they don't want like your discard deck that you draft to just be a worse discard list. They want to figure it out. And finally, there's going to be a new cosmetic type like this. I think the easy new cosmetic type is just game boards. They should probably sell us game boards. I fully expect them to do so. And that's this entire roadmap. If you'd like to hear our friend It's Guest Gaming talk about it, we love Guest. Props to Guest. He's on the Marvel Snap YouTube where he breaks all this stuff down. Go check out Guest talking about this. Finally, our Patreon comes with specific, a certain Patreon tier comes with specific honor. Thanks. I'd like to say thank you to the following people relatively quickly so we can move on. Safety is waiting for me to teach me some Pokemon. So I'd like to say thank you to Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, It Regardless, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, hey Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman, check him out on YouTube and Twitch, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., I am Frostman, Jay Neverett, Corwin, who does not live in Q-Town, Primed Ryan, sponsor of Snap Judgments League Season 2, Ryan Burke, the great Ryan Burke, Kier Tix Lee, the King Questions, Koi Ray, coming all the way from Japan, Black Dahlia, my alliance leader for the time being, Pyrophros, hey Pyro, The Goat Seeker, hey Goat Seeker, Den Man Falcon, check him out on YouTube for some great split content. He will obviously be getting extra awesome splits all of a sudden. Archangel 3K, Hollowed, Quid Pro Joe says Quid Pro, hell yeah. The only Joe P we have left, Joe. Doc G, the king of new Marvel Snack Card content, check him out on YouTube. Fat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle, my common opponent and friend. Ginger Prime, hey Ginge. The great Philip Rakovich, who's in charge of all our shorts and is going to kill me because I had him do a Last Chance Misery short that I now cannot use because I changed my perspective on it when it got the buff and I saw these last couple decks. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. The Rob Silverman OG, The Bizza, Exorcy, and Skippy G. Skippy, I hear it might be your birthday month, my friend. Tommy Nyquist, the winner of Snap Judgments League Season 1. The King of Bros, bruh, the great Kazoo. Jessica Campbell, Woody, Kev Sihora, Luna Chris. And now we are on to Q-Town with Quantum Quinn, John Q, and Jimmy McHugh. Clam, 8th, Sage, Mod Supreme, Models, who killed it running the tournament this weekend. I've given too many props to Gunny and not enough to Models. Models runs the world. If Models ran the world, everything would be so much more well run. The man is a machine of organization and kindness and like clear headedness. A cat could not live without Models in my life. Get yourself a Models. You will never be sad about that. The one and only Darth Vader, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, and Jason B., who's taking care of the deck archive for us, Jake D. McDonaldino, the Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Hoot, Matt H., the our only Matt H., DJ Make Jinx, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, BG, Jonesy, check out the Triple Threat, y'all, really cool vids, Two Ties, the Great Lourdes, who, again, I gave more work to today, the Pirate King Tuccrr, timeout. Congrats to the homie Tuccrr, who had a huge announcement over on Twitter. Tuccrr, you're going to be an amazing pops. Congrats. Enjoy the journey, my friend. The homie minute, and of course, getting T, where the T stands for, hey, would you like to see a really awesome deck yesterday and watch me change my mind? Then you should watch the Scorn video where I did a last chance review of Misery and changed my mind. I think it's really cool, and it's worth knowing the logic if you're trying to think critically about Marvel Snap. There's so much more content to come, including, again, 2 videos tomorrow. Thank you so much for the love and support. As always, see you tomorrow for another Snap Take and a high voltage video. Peace.